Hello, and welcome back to Bella's Haven for Healing. Let me ask you, when you hear the words mother wound, what comes to mind? Maybe you think of a mother who physically left. Maybe you think of a mother who was in the home but was emotionally somewhere else. Or maybe your mother was always there, so involved in your thoughts and your choices, your relationships, and your emotions that you were never really given enough room to discover who you were apart from her. Perhaps your mother loved you, but her love came through the filter of her own fear, grief, trauma, addiction, instability, or unmet needs. Maybe she provided food and clothing, a home, and all of the things that could be seen from the outside, while the emotional needs no one could see went unanswered. Or perhaps the relationship included experiences that were openly frightening, degrading, controlling, violent, or abusive. A mother wound can take many different forms. And if you recognize yourself somewhere within this conversation, I would like you to know this from the very beginning. You are not broken. You had to adapt to a relationship and an environment that you did not create. The beliefs, behaviors, fears, and relationship patterns you developed were not evidence that something was inherently wrong with you. Many of them were intelligent attempts to find safety, love, belonging, or stability with the emotional resources that you did have at that time. This conversation is not intended to diagnose mothers or label every imperfect interaction as trauma or suggest that a mother must have been perfect in order for her child to feel loved. But it is also not intended to excuse harmful behavior. It is meant to offer language, context, and clarity to help us understand how a mother's unresolved wounds can shape the way that she relates to her child and how the child may carry that relationship forward into adulthood. Throughout this video, I will use the word mother, but these wounds can also form through an adoptive mother, a stepmother, grandmother, foster mother, guardian, or another person who occupied the primary maternal role. And when I use the word child, I'm not speaking only about young children. You remain your mother's child whether you are 6, 26, 46, or 86. The term mother wound is not a clinical diagnosis, and there is no clinical definition for it. It is a compassionate, descriptive term for the emotional, relational, developmental, and sometimes physical wounds that can form when a child does not consistently receive the safety, nurturing, protection, attunement, encouragement, guidance, and acceptance they need from a mother or maternal caregiver. That wound can come from what happened to the child, but it can also come from what the child repeatedly needed and never received. Every mother will misunderstand her child sometimes, and every mother will become tired, frustrated, distracted, or overwhelmed. And every parent child relationship will experience moments of disconnection. Imperfection alone does not create a mother wound. Healthy relationships can survive mistakes because there is a repair. The mother returns, she listens, she takes responsibility, and then she helps the child to understand what happened. She makes room for the child's feelings and works to restore that safety. The deeper wound often develops, though, when harmful experiences are severe, repeated, or never repaired. When the child's developmental needs are continually pushed aside, or when the very person who is supposed to be a source of safety repeatedly becomes a source of fear and shame, rejection, instability, control, or pain. This may involve emotional or physical absence, criticism, comparison, humiliation, conditional affection, addiction, violence, neglect, role reversal, control, enmeshment, or abuse. It may involve a mother who cannot see her child's emotional world, or a mother who sees that world but does not allow the child to own it. And sometimes those two experiences exist within the same relationship. When people think about a mother wound, they often imagine abandonment. The mother who left, or who was unavailable, or who did not provide enough nurturing. But mother wounds can form at the other end of the spectrum as well. From a mother who is so involved in controlling and anxious, protective, or emotionally dependent that the child is not allowed to become a separate person. So one child may learn, I am alone and I cannot depend on the person that I need. And another may learn that I am not allowed to exist separately from the person who needs me. One child is deprived of connection, and the other receives a form of connection that requires the surrender of autonomy. The experiences look different from the outside, but both can interfere with the development of identity, boundaries, self trust, emotional regulation, and secure attachment. A mother does not have to physically leave in order for a child to experience abandonment. She may live in the same house while remaining emotionally unreachable. She may be consumed by depression, anxiety, grief, addiction, illness, work, financial survival, an abusive relationship, or her own unprocessed trauma. She may provide practical care while having very little emotional capacity left for curiosity, comfort, affection, guidance, protection, or meaningful connection. The child may stop reaching for her because reaching repeatedly ends in disappointment. They may become quiet, responsible, useful, high achieving, entertaining, or undemanding. Anything that might earn a moment of positive attention without creating another burden. Or the child may become angry, oppositional, loud, or disruptive because negative attention is still a form of being noticed. Beneath those different adaptations may live similar beliefs. My needs are too much. My feelings do not matter. I have to earn love. If I depend on someone, I will be disappointed. If my own mother could not choose me, something must be wrong with me. But the child was never the problem. The mother's inability to meet a need was not proof that the child was unworthy of having that need met. At the opposite end, the mother may be extremely present, but not in a way that recognizes the child as a separate human being. Healthy closeness allows two people to remain deeply connected while still having their own thoughts, privacy, autonomy, relationships, choices, and identities. Enmeshment blurs those lines. The mother may experience the child's independence as rejection, disloyalty, abandonment, or danger. She may feel entitled to know everything the child thinks, feels, does, and chooses. Privacy may be interpreted as secrecy, and a boundary may be treated as betrayal. The child may become the mother's best friend, confidant, therapist, emotional protector, caretaker, or reason for living. They may be expected to soothe her distress, absorb her fears, agree with her version of events, or provide the companionship that she is not receiving from another adult. When a child is made responsible for a parent's emotional well being, this is often called emotional parentification. And when a child is placed into the emotional role of a partner or substitute spouse, it may be described as spousification, or in more severe circumstances, covert emotional incest. Now, I understand those words can sound very intense, but they do not necessarily refer to anything sexual. They describe a serious blurring of roles in which the child is given emotional responsibilities that belong between adults. The child may learn, I cannot leave because she needs me. I cannot disagree because it's going to hurt her. Her emotions are my responsibility. Wanting my own life makes me selfish. If I separate from her, something terrible may happen. And the mother may not consciously intend for this to burden the child, but enmeshment can grow from unresolved grief, abandonment, anxiety, loneliness, or fear of another loss. A mother who previously experienced a miscarriage, for example, may become intensely afraid of losing another child. What begins as understandable protectiveness can grow into hypervigilance, overprotection, and difficulty allowing normal independence. While in another family, the death of a husband or partner may leave a mother relying upon her son or daughter for the companionship, decision making, the protection, or emotional stability she once received from the adult who died. That loss deserves compassion. But when the child becomes responsible for carrying the mother's unresolved grief, the relationship roles can become deeply confused. The mother's wounds may help explain why the enmeshment developed. They do not make the arrangement healthy, and they do not erase the impact on the child. These two patterns are not always separate. A mother may demand closeness on her terms while remaining emotionally unavailable when the child actually needs comfort. She may want complete access to the child's life, but show little curiosity about the child's inner experience. She may become intrusive when the child seeks independence and then absent when the child seeks tenderness. So that child may carry two fears at once. Please do not leave me, but please do not overtake me. As an adult, they may reach for connection, but become overwhelmed by it. So they pull away and then feel abandoned and then reach out again. This is not because they are incapable of love. It is because love and safety were not consistently experienced together. Not every mother wound is created by a cruel or uncaring mother. A child may lose access to an otherwise loving mother through death, adoption, foster care, incarceration, hospitalization, serious illness, military deployment, immigration, prolonged work separation, postpartum depression, or circumstances related to poverty and survival. The child may experience the absence before they are developmentally able to understand the reason for it. There may be no one to blame, and still there can be a wound. Understanding this matters because a mother wound describes the child's experience and its impact. It is not automatically a judgment of the mother's character. Sometimes the truth is just simply, my mother loved me and then something larger than both of us prevented me from receiving the love and the presence that I needed. And that loss deserves to be grieved as well. Mother wounds in sons are often overlooked because boys may be taught to minimize emotional pain, hide vulnerability, and prove that they do not need comfort. But a mother is often one of a boy's earliest attachment relationships. And through that connection, he may begin learning whether vulnerability is safe, whether his needs will be welcomed, and whether love can be trusted. A boy whose mother is absent, rejecting, critical, inconsistent, or emotionally unreachable may conclude, I am not important enough for someone to stay. I must perform, provide, rescue, or remain useful in order to be loved. If I show emotion, I will be rejected or humiliated. I should leave before someone has the chance to leave me. So, as an adult, he may become fiercely self reliant and emotionally distant. Or he may become deeply anxious about abandonment and work tirelessly to keep another person from leaving. He may pursue emotionally unavailable partners and try to prove himself to critical partners, or remain in relationships where affection is withheld and offered conditionally. He may desperately want intimacy while simultaneously feeling unsafe inside of it. An enmeshed son may be treated as his mother's emotional protector, closest companion, confidant, or little man. As he grows older, dating and marriage, relocation, privacy, and independence may all be experienced by the mother as evidence that someone is taking him away. He may then feel guilty for choosing a partner over his mother, and he may struggle to set boundaries, hide decisions to avoid upsetting her, or feel trapped between loyalty to his mother and loyalty to his adult relationship. He may also carry an unconscious relational rule that I keep the woman in my life emotionally stable, and in return, I am allowed to remain connected to her. So, this can lead him to becoming the rescuer, the fixer, provider, or emotional container in adult relationships. He may choose a demanding or controlling partner because the emotional role doesn't give warm fuzzies, but it feels familiar. Or he may avoid commitment and choose emotionally distant partners because closeness feels like being consumed. We sometimes hear that a man will choose a partner who is like his mother, but that does not necessarily mean he consciously chooses someone with her appearance or personality, interests, or lifestyle. A more accurate way to understand it is this: people may unconsciously gravitate towards relationship dynamics that resemble what they learned about love in childhood, not because those dynamics are healthy, but again, because they are familiar. If love originally came with criticism, he may feel compelled to win over a critical partner. If affection was unpredictable, uncertainty may feel like excitement. If his mother required rescuing, he may repeatedly choose people that he believes he must save. And if she was controlling, he may mistake control for care and concern. If she was emotionally unavailable, he may pursue someone that he can never quite reach, hoping that maybe this time he will finally be chosen. This is not a conscious desire to recreate his mother, but it can be an unconscious attempt to return to a familiar wound within a different person and maybe finally receive a different ending. A boy's relationship framework is influenced not only by how his mother treats him, but also by what he witnesses between caregivers. So if he watches his mother consistently being demeaning, controlling, manipulative, threatening, humiliating, or harming his father or another partner, he may begin to understand that behavior as part of an ordinary intimate relationship. If the man in that relationship silently absorbs the treatment, the boy may learn that being male means enduring mistreatment and without naming it, seeking help, or leaving. He may later tolerate emotional, verbal, financial, physical, or sexual abuse from a female partner because some part of him believes that this is simply what men are expected to withstand. And because male survivors are often mocked, minimized, or disbelieved, he may feel ashamed to name himself as someone experiencing abuse. Men can be harmed by female partners. Acknowledging that truth does not diminish the experiences of women who have survived abuse. It gives every survivor permission to name what happened without shame. A boy may also identify with the controlling parent and repeat those behaviors himself. Understanding where a harmful pattern began may help someone change it, but childhood wounds never excuse abusing another person. And although I have used the example of a son entering a relationship with a female partner, the underlying pattern is not limited to men, women, or heterosexual relationships. People of every gender and sexual orientation may repeat, avoid, or attempt to repair the relationship templates that they learned within their earliest caregiving relationships. Children also learn about power by watching which adult is allowed to have a voice within the home. Sometimes a mother becomes the dominant decision maker, while the father or other partner becomes increasingly submissive, dependent, or silent. Now, there is an important distinction here. Being a strong woman and earning more money, managing the household finances, making decisions in an area where one partner has greater skill, or caring for a partner whose health is declining is not inherently controlling. The concern is not which person earns more or who performs a particular household role. The concern is whether both adults retain dignity, access, choice, privacy, autonomy, and a meaningful voice in their own lives. Support begins to become control when one partner unilaterally decides where the other person's going to work, what will they drive, what will they eat, how will they dress, how money will be used, where they are allowed to go, or which choices they are trusted to make. It may include withholding access to bank accounts, monitoring a partner's location through technology, making important decisions without consultation, discouraging employment or independence, mocking the partner for not understanding something, or gradually convincing them that they are incapable of managing life without someone else. From the outside, the controlling partner may appear exceptionally competent and devoted. They may manage every appointment, every bill, every purchase, every meal, and every problem. But there is a difference between caring for another adult and taking ownership of another adult. Care asks, how can I support you while honoring your choices? Control assumes, I know what is best, so I am entitled to decide for you. This kind of control can grow from unresolved trauma and fear of loss. A mother may believe that if she manages every variable, anticipates every problem, and makes herself indispensable, she can prevent the family from falling apart. If she has previously experienced abandonment, death, betrayal, financial insecurity, or another significant loss, control may feel like protection. And when a partner's health begins declining, her fear may intensify. She may take over more and more because she is frightened of what will happen if she doesn't. But a need to be helpful can gradually become a need to be needed. The more dependent the partner becomes, the more secure and necessary the controlling person may feel. Without conscious awareness, she may begin solving problems the partner could still solve, making decisions the partner could still make, or discouraging choices that would restore confidence and independence. She may sincerely call this love, and some of it may be love. But love filtered through unresolved fear can become possession, surveillance, restriction, manipulation, gatekeeping, or control. Her fear helps explain the behavior. It does not give her the right to remove another adult's autonomy. The father or the partner may not initially recognize how much the relationship has changed. The loss of voice can happen gradually. One decision is surrendered because it is easier. One disagreement is avoided just to keep the peace. One account is managed by the other person because they are better with money. One location tracker is accepted in the name of safety and concern. Over time, the person may no longer know account information or feel permitted to make a purchase, trust their judgment, choose their own work, or make an ordinary decision without anticipating the controlling partner's reaction. They may become quieter, less confident, and increasingly dependent, even when that dependency was not present at the beginning of the relationship. They may gradually be placed into a submissive or victim position within the marriage, treated as though they are incapable of directing their own life, while the controlling partner becomes both the source of the restriction and the person now whom they must depend upon. Resentment may also begin building beneath the surface. It may be fully conscious, or it may appear indirectly through withdrawal, secrecy, irritability, emotional distance, passive resistance, or sudden attempts to reclaim choice. Looking for a different job, wanting a different vehicle, changing a routine, going to the gym, choosing different food, or making an independent purchase may appear to be a small practical decision. But when so many choices have been controlled, that decision may carry a much deeper message. I need something in my life to belong to me again. Some men may describe this experience as emasculating. That does not mean that earning money or managing finances or making decisions is inherently a man's role. It means he may experience the removal of his adult voice, competence, dignity, and self direction through the additional cultural pressure that tells him a man must always be strong, capable, and in control. He may also feel ashamed to admit that his wife or female partner monitors him, financially controls him, ridicules him, or decides the conditions of his life. At its core, the injury is the loss of agency, and that injury can happen to a person at any gender. The more submissive partner may also be coping in the safest way available to them: financial dependence, illness, disability, fear of conflict, isolation, erosion of confidence, or years of being overruled can make resistance increasingly difficult. Silence does not necessarily mean agreement. Dependence does not mean that the person wanted to surrender their autonomy. In part 2 of this series, we will continue with what sons and daughters may learn from these early family dynamics and how those lessons can follow them into their own relationships. We will talk about the roles children learn to perform, the difference between imitating a mother and becoming the complete opposite of her, and why the need for validation may surface through sexuality, caregiving, work, achievement, friendships, and romantic relationships. If something in this first conversation felt familiar, please give yourself time to let it settle. You do not have to understand every piece of your story today. And before you leave, I want to remind you that you are not broken. You adapted to a relationship and an environment that you did not create. Your experiences matter, and your boundaries matter, and your healing matters. You are worthy of relationships in which your voice, choices, dignity, and independence are treated with care. I'll see you in the next video.